Hello to everyone who's watching this video. Today I will be talking to you about sales management and the different responsibilities a sales manager has depending on the size and goals of the company. I have interviewed 3 sales managers from 3 very diverse companies. The first company, Albert Insurance Agency, is very small, a 3-person family business in Port Hope. I interviewed Michael Gus, the owner and the sales manager. Second sales manager that I interviewed was Joel Wensley from Mechanical Heating and Cooling. Mechanical Heating and Cooling is a growing business based in Dearborn, Michigan. The final sales manager we will be examining will be Ann Harding, who works for Bob Evans. This final company is fully established and knows what they are doing. Now, I've asked these 3 sales managers many questions, but some of their answers are very similar, so I'll not be covering them all. Instead, I'll be covering the answers that we can learn something from. Now, if you are following along with the PowerPoint, I would like to point out that there are figures that will be representing each company throughout the presentation. The happier figure will represent Albert Insurance Agency because of the smaller size and little ambition they have to increase the size of their company. The figure lifting weights will represent Mechanical Heating and Cooling because they are working hard to increase their company and become more dominant in their industry. The final figure that looks more professional will represent Bob Evans because they are already established as a company. The first question I have asked the sales managers was about the responsibilities that their jobs entailed. Mr. Gus said that he focused on building customer relations and being involved with the community to establish a positive connotation with current and future customers. Mr. Wensley said that his job at Mechanical Heating and Cooling was to sell products to the customers to get them to choose their Mechanical Heating and Cooling over other competitors. And finally, Ann Harding responded that her responsibility was to train, oversee, and lead the salespeople under her control. Now, we can learn many things from examining their answers, such as the Albert Insurance Agency is very small and has a very big difference in what it is focusing on compared to the larger companies such as Bob Evans. A growing business like Mechanical Heating and Cooling is largely focused on increasing sales and getting ahead when compared to a less ambitious company like Albert Insurance, who focus more on the experience that the customer has in relationship with the business. The second question that I asked the sales managers about was the structure and reporting of their salespeople. Michael Gus responded that his business provides customer relationships that the larger companies cannot provide, and he must communicate all interactions to the larger insurance agencies. Mr. Wensley said that his company has only one official salesperson and that their system is simple as he goes out to people's houses to get quotes and must report back with all the information he has learned. Ms. Harding's response was that she must instill the present sales strategies into managers of the individual stores and online programs. From there, the managers take charge with the workers and then report back the success they have had back to her. From comparing these answers, we can learn that the different businesses have completely different structures. From a smaller business that acts more as a conduit to larger agencies to the more ambitious heating and cooling operation who has only a single salesperson because they are still growing. And finally, we can look at the established organization who has an extensive process because of the large amounts of employees under the sales manager's supervision. Now we're going to look at the sales manager's answers regarding training their sales force. The smaller insurance agency puts employees through a training program that has them shadowing a salesperson and then lets them start to become more independent. Mechanical Heating and Cooling requires employees to learn the dimensions of each project. Then they have to learn how they work and then which type will benefit each customer the best because each person is individually different. Bob Evans has employees train companies' updates and changes through their online programs. The program is created by the sales manager. Each business has separate methods to train their employees because there are different aspects of the company and different stages of how they want to grow and become larger or stay smaller. For the smaller company, there's not very much in the intensive training part. It's just enough to make sure that the customers will be very well handled. For the growing company, the process is more technical as to show the customers that they are very professional because it is important for them to build a reputation for themselves to be competitive. And finally, for the well-established company like Bob Evans, they just have to make sure that their training is consistent throughout the entire organization. The next question that we will be covering is about the strategy of each sales manager in their business. Mr. Gus said that his strategy is focused on being different by concentrating on customer relations while also providing the best plans possible. Mr. Wensley's strategy is to increase sales by proving how their products and services will be more beneficial and personal than the competition. Mr. Harding gave an example of, Miss Harding gave an example of the best strategy, and that is a universal strategy across the company and is implemented in all the restaurants. These answers show us that smaller companies must focus more on the personal aspect of the business, while the more ambitious companies have to center its strategy around beating their competitors and supplying the best services. The largest and more secure businesses have many strategies that are implemented throughout their entire organization for a universal effect, to make sure everything is consistent and customers know what they're going to get every time. Now we will be looking at the leadership of each sales force. Mr. Gus said that he relied heavily on the collaboration between his 3 employees, and they reported back to the large agencies. Mr. Wensley said that his salesperson must report about each interaction with customers, and that they rely on communication to determine a schedule that is best for both customer and business. Ms. Harding says that shift leaders and managers monitor the regular sales of the employees and then report back to her. We learn a lot about how small companies rely more on collaboration when more growing companies rely a lot on communication, and finally, that the very large businesses have too many responsibilities to monitor the daily progress of every salesperson, and that they rely heavily on others to report back to them. The 5th question that we'll be analyzing is about the developing forecast of each company. All of the companies know when their best and worst times of the year are for sales. For Albert Insurance, they are busy at the end of the year because of the large amounts of auto insurance that they provide. Heating and cooling has an increase in sales during the winter because of the extreme temperatures. Bob Evans has a decrease in the sales during the winter and is more successful in the summer. To increase sales during the wintertime, Bob Evans this year alone just tried changing around their menu as to make the regular pricing of some meals seem cheaper, and this worked very well for them. That is just one example of how a simple change can increase sales. Most businesses know the trends and forecasts that their sales will take during the year, but the trick is to find special and different ways to increase the sales when they know they're going to decrease. Now we are going to learn about the biggest challenges and rewards that come with being a sales manager. Mr. Gus said that his biggest challenge is to make sure that his employees are all on the same page and have consistency, but his biggest reward would have to be the personal satisfaction and the money that he receives from all of his work. Mr. Wensley said that it was hard to sell the units in the solar seasons, but the commission and financial compensation made up for everything that he does. And finally, Miss Ann said that it was challenging to keep updating and increasing sales on a struggling economy, but it is rewarding to see the success of the financial and the financial compensation. We can learn from each sales manager's challenges that smaller businesses like Albert Insurance Agency, who act more like brokers between customers and large agencies, must balance the customers and the agencies and keep good communication. Growing companies have more problems with sales and keeping them increasing as the business grows. And finally, we have established companies who sales managers have more responsibilities in stressful situations, but are better financially compensated. The next question we will be looking at is the motivation and rewards that the sales managers offer employees to increase sales. Albert Insurance uses commission as part of its rewards, but values the feeling of self-achievement as well. The larger companies that Albert Insurance works for also supply rewards programs and offer rewards such as trips when certain sales criteria is met. Mechanical heating and cooling base their salesperson's income entirely off commission, but they also offer commission to the secretaries and the maintenance people to try and have everyone help to strum up sales. At Bob Evans, they use healthy competitions created throughout the year to help motivate their employees. The winner of these competitions receive monetary and material rewards. From this, we can learn that rewards are a large part of every business, but the form of the reward is what changes. From money to commission-based salaries and also company finance trips, employees can always use the extra push to strum up sales. Our final question we are going to examine is what each sales manager likes best and least about their jobs. Mr. Gus said that while he does deal with a lot of stress trying to keep up with the work in larger insurance agencies, he likes how he gets to work with his family and in a tight-knit community. Mr. Wensley said that he has very flexible hours and benefits, such as like a car and health insurance and stuff like that, but dislikes the amount of driving his job entails. Mrs. Harding said that with her job, a lot is demanded of her between the hours and the strategizing, but said that she's a very rewarding job in the sense that it provides her with self-fulfillment. From this, we can learn that Mr. Gus has a lot of responsibilities with a smaller business due to the fact that there are not many employees. We can learn that for Mr. Wensley, to help grow his company, he has to travel a lot and be very interactive with customers, and that Miss Harding has enormous responsibility because of the size of the company. In conclusion, from this presentation about sales management, I hope that everyone can learn not just a little something about being a sales manager, but also what it takes to be a sales manager for different sized companies. We have learned that the responsibilities of a sales manager changes from industries, but also depends on the ambitions and the capacity of the companies and businesses that they work for. Each sales manager has different structures, which is dependent on the size of the workforce under their supervision. We have also learned that larger companies have more of a uniform training structure for their employees, while smaller companies focus more on the development of each employee so that they really embody the ideals of their business. Every business is trying to differentiate themselves from the competition. Smaller businesses focus more on the personal touch, while growing businesses want their services to be satisfactory as they possibly can get them. But they also want more volume and less quality to help increase their sales. And finally, larger businesses want customers to know what to expect every time they step in the door, so they rely on consistency. Sales managers must adjust their approach and attitude depending on the size of the business they are working for. I have learned a lot from this project. By interviewing the sales managers, I have learned a lot about the responsibilities and the amount of work it takes to become a sales manager and to be successful at it. This job does not require book smarts, and it isn't something that can be taught. It takes experience, it takes knowledge of the industry, and it takes hard work to succeed in this position. By interviewing these sales managers, I got to interact with them and see what it takes to become successful. All of these people are supremely intelligent and dedicated to their work. This project has also taught me about how different each position can be, and it is all based off of the industry you're working in and the size of the responsibility that you have control over. I personally do not think that I want to be a sales manager, but this course has definitely helped me learn a lot more about a career that I could have actually been interested in. I don't know if many of you plan to pursue a future in sales management, but it is definitely a field that can be very profitable and challenging. I encourage you to look more into sales to see what you can find out. Maybe you too can interview sales managers and find out what it took for them to become successful in their industry. Thank you very much for your time, and good luck with your career in sales.